sports all day and all night. From the field to the court to the roaring stands. Strawberry ice with the world in my hands. Boom, like a hammer, I'm breaking the game. Strawberry ice, you're gonna know my name. Sports Talk Thunder, hear the podcast roar. Cincy's finest kicking down the door.
Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to the show. This is Sports with Strawberry Ice. I'm your host, Iceman Jeff Trenopole, and as always, I bring you sports from a West Side point of view right here in the great city of Cincinnati, Ohio. And as always, you know what? I'm coming to you live from that ice cave. Shout out to my sponsors, T Properties, quality housing for quality people. Check out their website at www.tpropertiesllc.com for all your rental property management needs and your rental needs. And Party Lawn and Landscaping for all your lawn and landscaping needs. I don't know, you need your grass cut, you need a paver patio, you need anything. I mean, anything. Maybe you're a do-it-yourselfer. Maybe you want to buy some mulch, some gravel. Think Party Lawn and Landscaping. And, of course, Meyer Window, Doors, and more. I got them in my house. I highly recommend you get them in yours. Meyer Window, Doors, and more. And, of course, my favorite brewery, Cincinnati Lager House. Go on down there to the banks, get you some delicious Lager House beer, some delicious Lager House food, and of course, tell all my sponsors you heard about them from Sports with Strawberry Ice. And of course, shout out to all my great sponsors there: Priority Lawn and Landscaping, T Properties, Lager House of Cincinnati, Meyer Window, Doors, and more. All right, I am back in studio after 2 days being at Montgomery and Boathouse, then going down to the Lager House for Reds opening day. I was able to actually go to the Calhoun press conference. That is the full press conference. It's on the channel. If you guys want to see any of that, check that out as well. Reds lost, unfortunately, yesterday, but it was a great day for Reds opening day. And the Bengals, I haven't got a chance to talk about this, re-signed Joe Flacco, and we just had news. If you guys haven't heard this, Tiger Woods has gotten into a car wreck, and for what I've just been told, he got arrested for a DUI. So, you have that. Now, with that being said, I'm going to introduce somebody who's never been on my show before. This is the very first time he's ever been on. I got to actually meet him in person at the Calhoun press conference the other day. I've heard him for years when he worked for 700 WLW. Now he's a beat writer for the Cincinnati Enquirer covering the University of Cincinnati Bearcats. He's the one and only Scott Springer. Hey, Scott, how you doing?
Good. Can you hear me? I'm in a car.
We can hear you. You sound great.
All right. I had to get a ride today. I had a procedure this morning, and they gave me narcotics. And they said I couldn't drive, and I'm a stubborn old guy, and I probably could drive, but my wife drove me to football practice, and so we're heading home.
Hey, I like this. Scott Springer on narcotics on my show. This is a good way to start this thing right off here. So, with that being said, we got a couple people more to introduce here. And we got another Bearcat beat writer. He's from the Front Office News. He's Neil Meyer. What's going on, Neil? How are you, sir?
Good. How are you guys?
Doing great. I'm just sitting here in the glory of the Bearcats hiring themselves a new head basketball coach. Now, with that being said, we have one more guest to get on here, and then we'll get into this conversation here. We have a guy who's coming all the way from California. He is a huge Cincinnati Bearcat fan. Not really. He's a USC fan, but he's from Cincy Jungle. He's the Godfather, Anthony Cosenza. All right, we got everybody on the show. What's going on, guys?
Hello. Me petting the tiger cub never ceases to amaze me in that picture there. I am not on narcotics, but I may as well be. I've taken such a long siesta from podcasting, it feels like, but good to be joined by some great folks.
There you go. All right, Scott, Neil, I'll start with you guys first here. What's your thoughts on the Jared Calhoun hiring?
I don't hear anything.
Are we can you not hear us, Scott? I don't think Scott can hear us. Uh-oh. All right, Neil, you go first here. What's your thoughts on Jared Calhoun, the hiring, and what it means for the University of Cincinnati Bearcats?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously a huge day for the University of Cincinnati. Anytime you can bring an alumni home, it's always pretty special. But first off, with this transition, I mean, you have to give credit to Wes Miller and his staff. I know Scott and I have got to know them on a very personal level, and they are such great people, and they had a great staff. So obviously, I just want to wish them the best of luck on their future endeavors. But overall, I mean, that staff did a lot for us on the beat. They did a lot of personal things. They were just great people. So you got to shout that out when that's due too. But the hiring of Jared Calhoun, I mean, it was kind of an easy slam dunk deal. I know it was probably the worst, best kept secret in
Pretty
the
much.
landscape of college athletics, but overall, it's a huge day. I mean, you see what he's done at Utah State, at Youngstown State, and being a Coach Huggins uh, guy who came off the Coach Huggins coaching tree. So that's pretty cool to see as well. It's good to see him come back home, and I think it's a slam dunk hire for the University of Cincinnati. And I'm very curious to see what might happen here in the next couple weeks. But after that press conference, I wasn't able to make it due to some prior obligations and whatnot. But after watching it back, it was pretty cool to see, and he said all the right things. And Bearcats fans are pretty fired up about the hire, so it's pretty exciting.
I am extremely fired up about the hire. I think Jared Calhoun's going to be a great hire here. I got to try to talk to Scott here. He can't hear me a second. I'm going to tell him to jump off and jump back on and try to get on the link again.
See what can I do here?
He can't hear us for some reason. So, and I was just about to ask AC. So don't go away. Come back here. We're talking some Bearcats here. What's your thoughts on just getting a new coach in general, as far as what that would bring to a program? I know you're not a Bearcat fan, but the energy you get from getting a new coach.
For me, I mean, I'm not the biggest basketball guy or college basketball guy. I did spend some time watching the tip-off of March Madness, but for me, in any sport, especially at a high level, it's just raised accountability and a different voice, and just all of a sudden, everybody kind of it's the same as in a business or another organization, right? Everybody just kind of tightens the necktie up a little bit, and you want to impress your new boss a little bit. And I don't know exactly what the new coach is going to bring specifically, but I just think that really just increased accountability has to be kind of number one priority for a new coach stepping into a high profile role.
Yeah, exactly. Now, Neil, what's the impact here? Now, see, for me, I look at it this way. And this, we haven't made this NCAA tournament in 6 years, 7 years, I think it is. Last year of Mick. Scott, you're back. You hear us?
Yeah.
All right, there we go.
The last years of Mick. I heard that part. So we're
all
good.
right. So we haven't made the NCAA tournament since Mick Cronin's last year here. Now, this is my expectation. I think Jared needs to make it next year. Because, I mean, he's got the money. He made it back-to-back years at Utah State. And I'm tired of the Bearcats not making the NCAA tournament. I'm tired of this. This needs to change.
Well, it used to be a given. Come March, it was, what's the seed? Where are you going to go? And then here lately, since – I mean, I was at that tournament game in 2019 with Mick, and they blew a lead to Iowa, but and that one hurt.
Yeah.
But, way back when, Andy Kennedy used to be a master of the NCAA tournament, and he could almost, to a T, predict the seed that they would go and the region and all that stuff. Very accurate, and you haven't been in that situation in some time. Although I will tell you, the year that Andy Kennedy was the interim coach, they should have been in the tournament.
They should have.
I think something screwy went on there myself. Yes. But, yeah.
That whole season, there was something funny going on with that whole thing, the way Huggins got out and Kennedy came in and they still didn't make it. That whole thing. But no, that brings you to another good point here. With Huggins being at the press conference, which is, I think, the first time I remember him being at anybody's press conference for UC since he left. What does that do for just people who are still mad that Huggins? It's been 20 years it's still mad that Huggins situation and he's not the coach anymore. Does this help ease any hurt feelings that are left? You guys think? Neil, I'll let you go first. What do you think?
Well, first off, Jeff, I mean, for those who have been following around the program and whatnot, Hugs actually has been back quite a few times since then. Obviously, people are still going to have their quote unquote feelings per se and their opinions towards how things ended in Cincinnati. But when Hugs' guys have an accomplishment, and I've heard this from multiple players, Corey Blunt, you've seen it now with Jared Calhoun, Terry Nelson. If there's something big going on with the player that Bob Huggins coached, he's more than likely going to be there. And we saw that at when Corey Blunt went into the UC Hall of Fame. Coach Huggins came in town for that.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen it a couple other times, but if there's a big event, Coach Huggins is going to be there more than likely. So for him to come back to Cincinnati, it's huge. I mean, everybody still loves and appreciates everything Bob Huggins done, and they always will for the University of Cincinnati's basketball program. Despite how things ended 20 years ago, people are always going to love and appreciate Bob Huggins around here within this city. But for me, I thought it was really cool to see the pictures and the videos from guys like Scott and colleagues Chad Brendel and a couple others on the Bearcats beat. But I mean, it's raw emotion right there.
Yeah.
Right, you see some of these guys who are on the coaching tree of Bob Huggins, Andy Kennedy, like you mentioned. Now Jared Calhoun. There's a couple of different other coaches there, but anytime you're one of these older, especially a Hall of Fame coach, and you see somebody you brought up and you mentored into this profession, it's obviously a full circle moment. And obviously, he was on Huggins' staff at the University of Cincinnati as a student assistant. Then he followed him to West Virginia. So there's so much connection there. But for him to come back in Cincinnati for the opening press conference was pretty unique and pretty cool, if you have to ask me.
Scott, what's your thoughts?
Oh, it was awesome to see him, and I think that's part of the reason Jared Calhoun gets hired, because you get the Huggins seal of approval, and then the people that might still be upset about Bob, you know, he is what he is. Here's the deal. It's like, yeah, and I guarantee you there's some in the administration going, well, why do we have to have a connection with Bob? Because it was an awkward ending. Awkward ending here, awkward ending in West Virginia. But here's the deal. Your typical fan, all I can remember, and I can tell you this because I graduated in 1983. The coach was Ed Badger, and then you went to Tony Yates, and that didn't work. And then suddenly this guy named Bob Huggins comes in and knocks off number 20 Minnesota in the Shoemaker Center on a Steve Sanders shot. And it's like, oh my goodness. And then they make the NIT, which then at that time just about warranted a parade. And then in 3 years, he's got you in the Final Four in the Metrodome in Minneapolis. And I got to go to that as well. And that was something I didn't think I'd ever see, because all I ever heard from my dad was about the, 60, 61, 62, those guys. It's like, holy crap, we're going to the Final Four. And then they made the Elite Eight and really had a great chance at 2 Final Fours. They had North Carolina by 15 that year. This guy did some miracle things. He had yet number 1 in the country. He had Kenyon Martin, the Naismith Player of the Year, Sports Illustrated, Danny Fortson. You were the feared team, the men in black or whatever. And what burns a lot of people up, and Terry Nelson can relate to this, when you hear Kelvin Sampson talk, he says, basically, we got tired of being beaten by Huggins and Mick Cronin and how physical they were. And so they use that as a blueprint.
They stole it.
Houston Cougars have become the old Bearcats. And so now you've got a guy, Calhoun, that knows Huggins and knows Andy Kennedy and knows all about that history. And I think he can bring some history back and get it going. And the guy, I mean, what an intelligent dude. I mean, when he was here last time, he was 22 years old. And I don't know how mature he was then, but I'm guessing he was pretty mature. But he just sounds like a veteran coach that's going to get some awards here at some time.
Yeah, exactly. I'm everything you said there is exactly what I want to bring back here. It is, like I said, Houston, I said, stole our identity. They are the Bearcats. They did exactly what Hugs did, Cronin did, all that, and I want to beat them so bad. With that being said, do you feel that Calhoun can get the recruits in here? Because if he's able to do what he did at Utah State, with it's all about NIL money and everything, and they did up their NIL money, but it's nothing compared to what UC can get. Do you think he can turn it around that quick? Can we make the NCAA tournament next year? Can he get NBA players in here? Scott, go ahead.
That's between him and Corey Evans. But anything's possible. It's just this new wave of basketball. It's like you can't say, well, we get this guy back and that guy back and that,
Right.
and then this guy will come from Utah State. Well, you don't know any of that. Yeah,
Right.
there's some of those guys you'd like to have, and there's some of the guys you'd like to keep. But anymore, it's John Calipari was at the forefront of all this, flipping the roster year after year, and he was doing it with freshmen, and now you're doing it with older players, and honestly, the older you are now, the better you are. So we'll see what happens, but is he capable of it coaching wise? Yeah, I think he is. I think he's looking for his type of guy and the character and all that type thing, and he won with what he said, 800,000 last year, and then 2.4 million this past season. So you're looking at 4 times the amount in spending money if my sources are accurate. So you have every chance in the world. Now the league's a lot tougher. Again, that's what I've tried to tell people about the difference in the AAC and the Big 12. And I said, and I'm not making excuses, but take any of the AAC teams and put them in the Big 12 and tell me what their record's going to be.
Right, exactly, and that's the thing is like if you can get to the top half, I'll just say the top. The Big 12 is tough, but you get to the top half, the upper half of the Big 12, you're going to make the NCAA tournament almost every year. If you're the top 5, top 7, somewhere around there, so that's the good thing about it. But you're right, it is a very tough league. To me, it's the best basketball conference in America. But I mean, and let's go to Penn State 24/7 Sports Talk here. Thanks for coming on the show here. It says Cincinnati has lacked consistency in basketball identity. I agree with that. And that's kind of what we're talking about is the identity was the black hat, the black shirt, come in, be the badasses, come in, take your lunch money and leave. And we don't have that anymore. Will Calhoun, do you think that's where Calhoun is trying to get back to? Is that what is going to resonate with his coaching style?
Well, if you're asking me, yeah, that's what I would look for. That's what. Now, looking at his Utah State team, they didn't look like the Ryan Fletcher, Bobby Brannon, Eric Hicks, Jason Maxiel enforcers and all that. But now maybe you have the wherewithal to go get that type guy, and I think that's what you need. I like the physical looking guys. Iowa State's players look big. Now, yeah, UC beat them, but the way they play, I just think in the end, the tough guy always wins. And you give me the tough guy over finesse, I'll take that any day.
Yeah, just like these two guys up top here, AC and Dale. They're the two tough guys. Those are my enforcers right there.
Right.
AC,
I'm a finesse guy. Come on. You ever seen? I'm sure you have the movie with Swingers with John Favreau and Vince Vaughn, where they play NHLPA hockey, and the king calls the Kings a finesse team. Anyway, I digress. It's a good scene.
So being from out there in California, and Dale, you being an Ohio State fan, what was your guys' thoughts on UC basketball from the outside looking in, as far as when Huggins, Cronin, and all that, we had it rolling, the identity the Bearcats had?
Well, I'm a Kentucky basketball fan, to be fair. And I'm not real. Hey, I'll take Rick Pitino back. We're talking about Bob Huggins and guys you want back.
He's in the Sweet 16 now. He might beat Duke tonight. We'll see.
I hope so, man. I'm rooting for that. That's like my win now as a Kentucky basketball fan. But, I'm happy you guys got Calhoun. And, you need to be back in prominence because, like he said, back in the day, Kenyon Martin, man, that's still one of the biggest what-ifs of all time, as any fan of sports.
We would have won that if he didn't break his leg. I don't care what anybody says. We would have beat Michigan State. They didn't have anybody that could guard Kenyon. So that's my unbiased opinion. Scott, am I wrong on this? If Kenyon didn't break his leg, we're winning the national championship, right?
Again, old guys like me have seen a lot and been a lot of places. So I was in the pyramid that day. The St. Louis coach was Lorenzo Romar, and I talked to him the day before, and he was looking at me like, we don't have a chance, because Cincinnati had beaten them by like 40 in the game before, like on senior night. And so I'm talking to him, and I'm kind of going, well, yeah, but you're here. I'm sorry for the video. I'm getting out of the car.
You're good.
But yeah, he just went on and on about how good the Bearcats were, and then you get into the game, and then that happens, and it was such a mess. And then the Cincinnati brass didn't want the media telling anyone outside, hey, what went on. They wanted the fans to still be in the game, but then it kind of, what hurt UC, in my opinion, they brought Kenyon out with a cast on his leg, and that was a total downer. And so they lose that game to St. Louis, and then they get dropped to a 2 seed, and they beat, I believe it was UNC Wilmington, then lost to Bill Self and Tulsa in the tournament in Nashville. I've talked to Bill Self about that, and he agrees with most Bearcat fans that UC should have been a 1 seed that year. They penalized them for Kenyon being hurt. They still should have beat Tulsa, but yeah, that was a tough year. I mean, they had DeMar Johnson and all those guys, and I don't know that it's a given because it takes a lot of luck to win. But you certainly had the talent, and they were so explosive. And the one thing I noticed, like when Utah State beat Villanova, that was kind of a close nip and tuck game, and then like at about the 5-minute mark, they put their foot on the neck of Villanova and pulled away and ended up winning by 10, it seems like. But I like that. And I talked with Calhoun about finishing games, and he said that's situationally you have to practice those things. And that's what they do. And you have to be ready. What I didn't see with Wes, and God love Wes, but there was a feeling of panic in those situations.
Yes.
And you can't, that's not when you panic. You can't have 10-second calls. You can't just be throwing the ball away like you're the Washington Generals and pissing away an 8-point lead. And it happened right in front of me. I'm there courtside, and it's just, what is going on here? Exactly. And then the screwy thing is you win that game, and maybe none of this happens. It's like everything happens for a reason, I guess. But they won that game. Wes could still be coaching, and Calhoun's still at Utah State, and someone else is seeking him out, because I think it might have been tough to fire Wes if he'd made the tournament.
Oh, I don't think they would have fired him if he made the tournament. Scott, I see you just got back home. If you want to go, and I can take you off camera if you want to go sit down somewhere, and I can bring you back on if you, so you don't have to stand
here. I can go to my laptop and in my office, and it might be a little easier.
Sounds good. Let's do that. We'll keep talking amongst yourselves, and you can jump back on.
Plus, it's cold out here. I don't like the cold. I liked it when it was 80 over the weekend.
I know.
We came out of the football facility, and like UC's playing Kansas in baseball, and I'm teasing my wife. I said, you want to sit down and watch cold baseball? Because we were down there Saturday when Coates and Natilli had 3 home runs each, and it was like 80 degrees. It was wonderful. But yeah, cold baseball, not for me. I'm going to go inside. I'll be back.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, that's Cincinnati weather for you, man. AC, you don't know how much it swung here. It was literally 80 degrees.
It was 85 yesterday, and then now it's 40.
Yes, literally within 24 hours.
I put on a clean shirt for your show because I like to look presentable, and I almost grabbed the tank top, my friend. Yeah. I almost did it.
Surprise!
But I said no tank top. I catch a lot of grief for that, so no.
You should have put the tank top on, and we all would have gave you all kinds of crap because we're freezing here compared to yesterday. Yesterday was nice and warm and a great day for the Reds, even though they lost. All right, Neil, I know you gotta get the heck out of here. Final thoughts on the Calhoun hire and how the portal season is going to start here soon. What's your thoughts in general of going forward with the Bearcats?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be an exciting time, but I think for Jared Calhoun right now, I think you have to kind of sit back and you have to start within the players here at Cincinnati. I mean, that's going and sitting with these guys. I think retention is going to be key in this situation. Obviously, you saw a couple players at their press conference. Keyshawn Tillery, Jalen Haynes were the 2 in attendance. Sounds like they had a couple meetings with those guys before the press conference, as Jared Calhoun shouted out Keyshawn Tillery and I've been saying it for a while. I think that's a guy you have to retain if you're
point guard.
Cincinnati.
Need a point
But
guard.
overall, if you want my honest opinions, you got to get Mustafa Cham in a room, and you got to get him
there. I swore I saw him walking around before the press conference even started. I thought I did.
Think you're thinking Jalen Haynes in that situation.
That was okay. All right.
But you got to find, if you're Cincinnati, you got to get Corey Evans in a room. You got to get Mustafa Cham in a room with Jared Calhoun, the agent, whatever the situation might be. But I think that's going to be the biggest question mark this offseason, because if you can keep Mustafa Cham here in Cincinnati for the next year at least, it's going to be a fun time, because if he enters the portal right now, he's the number one big to enter the portal right now. Yeah, and teams are going to come through with a bag ready to spend. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be interesting. But for me, I think you got to find a way to retain him. That's going to be the biggest thing. If you can retain him, the domino pieces should fall, from what some sources are kind of indicating. But it's going to be that's the question mark, is what's going to happen there. Obviously, the portal opens in a week. Who knows what you might really have, but overall, I think that's the biggest thing. I think it's going to be a great hire. This was something that was kind of rumored for quite some time. They made it happen. So I'm pretty fired up. Like Scott and I have said, we both love Wes, and we both appreciate everything he's done. People need to understand, like, Wes is a genuine good freaking dude. He texted me on my college graduation, every birthday, holiday. Like, not many coaches do that, but that's awesome. Just Wes. And shout out, what he did for all of us on the media, that's different. So Wes was a good dude, but I do think Jared Calhoun is going to thrive here for the University of Cincinnati. So I'm excited, but I think for Cincinnati right now, your mindset when you're attacking this transition is you got to really work on the retention. You start with the guys within the building, and then you see where you can go. But it's going to be interesting to see how does Corey Evans and this staff build a roster heading into the Big 12 with the first year under Calhoun. Obviously, like Scott mentioned, sources are indicating a pretty hefty dollar amount for Cincinnati in terms of NIL money. So it's going to be interesting to see how that gets split out to some of these players. So I'm excited. I really am.
Awesome. Me too. Neil, I know you gotta go, brother. I appreciate you jumping on, man. Hey, plug some stuff here real quick before I let you leave.
Yeah, so for those wondering, I coach volleyball here at Oak Hills. We got a practice going on in about 2 minutes behind us, so got to get out with the team real quick, get ready for a try match in the morning. So, but overall, you can follow me over at the Front Office News. I co-host the Bearcat Blitz podcast with Russ Heltman of Bearcats on SI. You can follow us over there, and then the Bearcat Tip-Off Talk podcast with myself, Alex Meacham, and JT Smith as well.
There you go. Appreciate you. Thanks, brother. Go make sure everybody spikes them straight down, okay?
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks,
man.
Jeff. Thanks, guys.
Believe. I love Believe.
AC does. He that's where his podcast is. My podcast is just me. Anyway. All right. See you, Neil. All right, guys. So one thing, Dale brought this up, and I hope Dale comes back on camera, so I want to get his opinion. And Neil said it about NIL money. Now, we're supposed to have, I think, about $10 million, I think is what I've heard. Kentucky spent more than anybody else in NIL money this year, and they got knocked out in the second round. NIL money, you have to have it, Scott, but if you don't put the right players together, it ain't going to work. Is that because you got to have the, I guess, character or talent? They got to be able to be cohesive, a unit. I think that's that's
the tough part.
Yeah.
You're taking guys that were the guy wherever they were, and then they have to be on a team. And so they may have to accept a role. And if you accept the role, you may be part of a title. If you just want to be an eye, then maybe you have a decent year and you can jump around to 3-4 schools in the Sun Belt or whatever. And I don't know which one you go to on homecoming. I don't know what senior night means. Senior night used to be a big deal for everybody.
Yeah.
Now it's dude that was here for 5 months gets a plaque and an ovation. Davey Thomas was here 3 years. That's an eternity. What sucks for him is he deserved to go to the NCAA tournament, and that loss to UCF probably cost him.
Yep.
And he was the only one, playing with any cojones there late in the game. I mean,
yeah. Well, he he got so much better this year. And that was one of the other problems I have with West is I didn't see a lot of guys really improve that much. He did. His shot and his shot making ability got better this year, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, he improved. Jizzle's 3-point shot got better. He shot 44%, but I think just the time off and everything was very, very difficult. And had he had no issues and stayed with it, and I think it would have been a different year out of him. I don't know what's going to happen with him. You got to believe his closeness with Wes would lead me to believe that he might not be here.
Right.
And even if it's not Wes, okay, UCF's there in his backyard. He knows Lucas down in with the Miami Hurricanes. Those are all possibilities. I know he has a younger brother that was enrolled at UC, so I don't know the status of that. I'm very, very, as a father of 4 sons, I'm happy that he got his act together and got back.
Yes.
I was so excited just to see him back and
Yes.
healthy, and the fact that he played. And he did give you a couple magical moments there. So I just hope, something works out for him one way or the other.
Yeah, exactly. And I do, Dale, if you're there, I want to bring you back on here. And Scott, I ask you this too. Do you think, are you surprised that Coach Pope is still Kentucky's basketball coach? They have not got rid of him yet?
I don't know. It was always, I didn't think it was a great hire in the first place, like honestly. But you get behind it because you're like, oh man, the nostalgia of Pitino and when those teams were so great, and he's part of that, and he gets it. But it's like results is what matters. I mean, they won a tournament game last year. They hadn't been winning a lot of those, but with the money, they paid a lot of money to Jaden Quinton's, and he's just hurt all the time. Didn't play. That was irrelevant this season, so it kills you.
Scott, you gonna say something?
No, it's tough to replicate what Rick Pitino did there. That was crazy. I can remember they brought the trophy around to the Florence Mall. I think they were baptizing people over there.
I mean, that sounds about right with Kentucky basketball.
Hey, Tubby Smith got a national championship off of Rick Pitino and got his son. That runs the whole.
Yeah,
they ain't been the same since.
Yeah. That's funny. No, seriously, they did a traveling tour of that trophy, and Cunningham had him on 700 at one of the stops, and they probably had a massive audience there in Florence out there, and like I said, that's the number one religion in Kentucky, basketball. So yeah, they were converting people right and left.
Exactly. It's kind of like USC football, right there, AC.
Sort of, yes. Yeah, sort of. There's always this joke that's, for a while they were the pro team, and then obviously they hit the skids. And then, if you listen to Colin Cowherd on Fox Sports, he always says, there's just so much to do out in LA. So it's hard to get, yeah.
Exactly.
Anyway.
There's so much stuff to do out in LA. We go surf, we can go do this, whatever. Who wants to live in LA? Come on, AC.
I don't. I don't live in LA, so I don't.
Yeah. You're an Orange County guy, right? All right. So, Scott, Anthony Cosenza is part of Cincy Jungle, and Dale here is part of Bengals and Brews. So we talk a lot of Bengals here, and I know you're a beat writer for the Inquirer for the Bearcats, but you did cover the Bearcat or the Bengals, and you live here in Cincinnati,
right? Yeah.
What's your thoughts on the Bengals offseason so far? We got Joe Flacco back. We still don't have a linebacker yet. Is the draft going to fall? Are we going to sign Bobby Wagner? What the hell are we doing?
I don't know. It's like if you have a big asset there, you think you'd want to protect him, and so that's where it all starts for me. That's where it all started. If you go back to the old man, Paul Brown. I mean, his first choice for the Cincinnati Bengals was the center, Bob Johnson. You start on the line, and so yeah, and then Gee whiz, after the first Super Bowl, you had, Munoz and all those guys. And shortly after that, everyone's signing a free agent deal. And it's no surprise that you're not back. So you got to have the big dudes up front. I like that Flacco's back, because that's comforting, because more than likely the way Joe Burrow plays, he's going to go out and at least miss a play or two, or you never know if he's going to miss a game. And I thought Flacco did a great job. And someone like me, I surely don't consider 41 old. And Tom Brady played till he was 46 or whatever. And these guys are in far better shape. When I was a kid, there was a dude named George Blanda, and he was 48, but he looked like he was 68. And Ken Stabler, I don't know if he made it to 40, and he looked like he was 60 then. So guys lived hard. They were smoking cigarettes at halftime and taking shots. I don't know. but yeah, the quarterbacks now, everybody's in such better shape. They're just the sports nutrition, medicine, all that thing. So Flacco looks like he can still play. I'm glad he's back. You need to have a decent backup, and I hope Joe can get it together, and I hope Olivia or whoever he's dating at the moment, stays out of his football life.
Yeah, I think he went back to her, is what I heard. I try not to pay too much.
I was really losing sleep over it. It was.
I bet you were, Scott. I bet you were.
Jessica Alba or Olivia? I don't know. Where do you go?
Yeah, it's a hard life that Joe had. Two hard choices there for.
I would go with Jessica Alba. Just saying.
I'd be in the Alba. Yeah. If we're taking votes, I'd go Alba.
AC, who you got? You got Alba, or who are you?
I mean, I guess. Sure.
AC, he's like, sure, I guess. I mean, if I have to settle for her, that's fine.
Settling, right. Yeah, that's right.
All right, so Dale, I'll bring you in on this with the draft coming up here. I'm getting a lot of people texting me, or not texting me, but tweeting at me about Peter Woods, and everybody keeps saying, I still think it might be Peter Woods. What is Peter Woods coming back up, or what's going? This is the craziest draft season I've ever seen, because it was going to be this guy, then it was going to be this guy. Now I'm like, I have no idea what's going on in the draft now. Is Peter Woods back up at 10 for a year? Or what do you got?
I mean, I don't think he was ever necessarily out of the conversation, but I don't know. I don't think it'd be the right pick at 10, especially now that they brought in Jonathan Allen as a free agent. But I just think, everybody talks about Reuben Bain, David Bailey, Caleb Downs, Sonny Styles, all these guys. I think they're all going to be gone. And they're going to be faced with a tough choice at pick 10. Keldrick Falk is going to be the guy that no one wants, that all of a sudden that's your pick. I see it. Just like with Stewart last year.
Don't bring that up again now. I don't want that. I want Bain or Downs still. That's who I'd like to get. Scott, you got a gut feeling on the draft for the Bengals?
I probably don't study it as much as you, because my head's been into college basketball and college football and everything, and so I'm aware of some of the names and all that. Zach Taylor was at the UC Pro Day.
He was.
It was Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday. Mm-hmm. He was there with Doug Rosfeld as chief of staff, and Duke Tobin was there. So they were looking over guys there. So I wouldn't be opposed to seeing Jake Golday in Bengal stripes. I don't know when he goes. I think he's climbed up. He's got some freak skills, 6'4", 240, can run, quick twitch, all that thing. Pretty good vertical. So that'd be a dude I'd like to see stay home. But, honestly, I'd like to see him get a deal anywhere. He's a good guy. But, yeah, you'd like to see some of the guys. There really hadn't been too many Bearcats that ever stuck with the Bengals. A handful of them, but more or less role players. So it'd be neat to have one that actually got some serious playing time.
Yeah, we got one now, Brian Cook, which I'm ecstatic.
Yeah. There's Brian Cook. Actually, you mentioned Cook. I mean, way back when, Greg Cook is probably the most famous and might have been the best ever, because when I was producing Chris Collinsworth Sports Talk Show, one of my early jobs at 700, we had when Paul Brown died. Bill Walsh called in, so I had him on the phone, and I knew of Greg Cook and everything, and I mentioned something to him, and he told me he said it over and over, but he said Greg Cook would have been better than Joe Montana, better than Steve Young, and coming from Bill Walsh, who probably should have been the second Bengals coach, but wasn't.
Should have been. Yes,
right. I thought that was some pretty high praise. So I knew Greg a little bit, before he passed. Unfortunate, but. I think there's an HBO. There's somewhere on YouTube. There's a special on Greg Cook and all that, and it's worth watching if you ever see it.
Yeah, we've all heard the stories of Greg Cook and how great he could. And the thing that kills us is his arm injury. If he had it now, he would have got it fixed.
It's like rotator cuff or something that they crank those out. That's it's like a Band-Aid operation anymore.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. AC, what's your thoughts on? You know anything about Galladay or because I know there are some talk. I think obviously the Bengals were which Dale, I'm sure you're happy that you had the Bearcats the Bengals had boots on the ground in Cincinnati for the pro day, because we talked about that a lot. What's both of your thoughts on Galladay at 41, which would be round 2, which I think is about as high as it was probably the round he's projected at, I think. Am I correct in that there, Dale?
Yeah, that's where I think he's right on that fringe of a top 50 prospect for me personally in the Project Game Day draft guide. But I think if you want him, you got to take him at 41. I thought it was weird the way UC used him, because he was almost playing. He was almost playing like outside slot corner type role half the time, and it was like, why is this guy taking so many snaps out there? I know at Arkansas State he played off the edge. It does show his versatility. Obviously, he's an elite athlete. He's a guy that can do a little bit of everything, but I do think in just a regular linebacker role that he gets to concentrate on, he can cover, he can blitz, he can do everything. If he was the pick at 41, I'd say, hell yeah, you got a good pick.
AC, you got thoughts on Galladay?
I would agree with that too. I think that's the range where he would be at, and then of course I think hyper athletic, right? I just see him somewhere in the AFC North. I do see him as a guy somewhere that lands in the AFC North in some capacity, just because of it. Seems like a versatile guy and can do a lot of different things, and just how well he tested. But yeah, I think he is kind of that fringe first, early second round guy. And I think that's probably where he ends up going. And maybe that's the Bengals. The one concern I have with that, even with the athleticism of Galladay, is, again, you're relying on 2 second-year linebackers that didn't perform holistically well for the Bengals over the course of the season. And then now it appears that they are not going to go the veteran linebacker route, at least not yet.
Not yet.
Maybe that comes after the draft or in the summertime or something like that. So I guess I just worry about, man. I like the youth and explosion and athleticism and influx of all of that, but you still have quite a bit of inexperience in that group. If the plan is to use a high pick on even a talented guy like Galladay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. They're going to have to address the linebacker situation somehow, and I hope it's not just the draft. They're going to draft somebody. I hope they do get somebody like Bobby Wagner, but it might be after the draft. Who knows? Scott, how many Bearcats do you think, in your opinion, are going to get drafted? Are we at 3 or are we at 4 here?
I think there's a chance for 4. To me, Golday's at the top, and then McShay really like Joe Royer a year ago. Now, the puzzling thing with Joe this past season went from 50 catches to 29, but he was being double teamed a ton. So I'm not sure. I love Joe, saw him play at Elder. He got over some things at Ohio State and came to UC and was brilliant that first season. You break Travis Kelce's single season tight end mark, that says something. Not as many catches last year. So that was somewhat disappointing. And he hasn't worked out. I don't know if he's, I heard talk of maybe a hamstring injury or something like that. So
he wasn't at the pro day. He was at
the pro day. He didn't work out. Corleone didn't work out either. And that, I know that's not uncommon. To me though, I like to see the guy work. Show me something. So
Corleone had a surgery, right? I think that came out today.
Yeah. Was that related to the blood clot thing, or is this something different?
No, it's different. I don't remember exactly what the surgery was, but he had some kind of.
Well, Corleone had an ankle. He had an ankle issue late in the season, and that's another thing with Dante. Again, lovable guy, great guy, just strange physique. Not terribly tall, 6'1", but 340 pounds. It's like a brick wall with cleats on, and he can make plays. He can move faster, but he struggled the last handful of seasons staying on the field. And I don't know if that is a red flag for people or not. So that's why I think Golday had a shoulder surgery right after this season. I'm pretty sure that's all healed up. He did his benches. He did 22 on the bench. I think 24 is his best. Jeff Caldwell's the guy that was the freak at the combine, the 6'5" kid that he had about 30 catches for Cincinnati, but freakish numbers on the broad jump, 11.9 what he did last year, did 11.2 at the combine. He just, I think what I've heard from people is he needs to be more of a take charge. He's kind of a laid back dude, so not necessarily the alpha that you may be looking for. So he's going to have to learn that, but all the talent and upside in the world. And the guy that had the best pro day was Cyrus Allen, who probably won't get drafted because he's a small, 5'11", 185-pound receiver, but he catches everything. He moves fast. He's always open. He says so. I think he really wants it. And, he caught 13 touchdown passes in Big 12 football. That's a lot.
I was going to say, I think Allen goes ahead of Caldwell. I think he's a better wide receiver, like a better route runner, knows the nuances of the position a lot more. Yeah. Caldwell, though, someone is still going to draft. I just don't know exactly when. It might be 6th round. But, man, give me that 10 relative athletic score at 6'5", 225, whatever he is. Dude has all the potential in the world. I don't think he really grew up as a football player. Am I wrong on that?
He played soccer. And then he went to Lindenwood. And he's, credit to Zach Grant, the general manager, and the personnel people at UC. They dug him up and saw him, and he caught some balls. And, he made some brilliant catches. He's got all the upside in the world. And because you can't teach 6'5" and 220 and speed and 11.9 on the broad jump and things like that. So, I think someone's going to take a flyer on him, and those would be the 4 that I think. But I do agree with you. Allen is the better receiver. If you're looking at him straight up in terms of numbers and particular skills and route running, it's Allen right now. But it's going to be tough to pass up that 6'5" frame.
I think they both get drafted. So I'd say 5, Jeff, for me, because I think Allen – and I think Caldwell, and then I think Corleone still gets drafted, but he might honestly, if one doesn't get drafted of those 5 that we talked about, Golday and Royer are definitely drafted guys, potentially day 2 guys. Then we're talking the 2 receivers somewhere on day 3. Corleone, with the injury history, is the one. And honestly, his best season was 3 years ago.
Yeah,
if we're being honest. So with all the injury stuff, Corleone could be the guy that 6th, 7th, or he's the guy that's he's out there when the draft's over and every team wants him in their building. But he does go undrafted just because teams don't use the draft.
Well, it's not perfect. I mean, Ivan Pace started for the Vikings in his first season after being totally undrafted.
I had him as a 3rd-round guy. That was honestly ludicrous that he went undrafted because it was basically size.
Oh, yeah. He's 5'10" and probably 230, and they tried to list him 6 foot 240, but he finds the football. He does exactly what you want the linebacker to do.
Instincts make up for it. I think Torian York from Texas A&M, Zach Taylor was there at that pro day this week. That's a guy who reminds me of an Ivan Pace. He is closer to, he's 5'11", 227, but ran in the 4.5s, and the instincts are off the charts.
Exactly. All right, we got a $10 super chat there from Fuzzy Balls.
Fuzzy
Balls. That's our favorite super chatter there, Scott. Says, I still want to trade 10 to Detroit for 17 and 49. The first 2 rounds are stacked full. Getting an extra 2nd round pick would be clutch. I would love to get Antonio Williams, wide receiver, at 49. AC, what's your thoughts on this?
Well, I know Fuzzy Balls has been talking up Antonio Williams quite a bit. But yeah, here's the tricky part about 10. For me, you would, if the board falls the way that Dale mentioned, all those guys are gone,
right?
Are people going to be rushing up to those blue chip guys? Are people going to be rushing up to get number 10? I don't know. I don't. And if do you then deal it do you deal the pick maybe as pick 7 rolls on and take that gamble if you're the Bengals and collect picks? I don't know. I just, if the board falls within the first 9 picks, Downs is gone, Styles is gone, Reese is gone, Bailey's gone. I mean, maybe 1 or 2 quarterbacks are gone. Love is gone. I mean, then you're looking at potentially a corner, which I think the Bengals would probably go to, but I'm not certain Mansour Delane is. Did I lose you?
No, you're here. Keep going. We hear you.
Did I lose you?
No, you're good. I think he lost us.
Did I lose you? Okay. Oh, sorry. I'm not totally sold on Mansour Delane being kind of that same blue chip guy, but I could see the Bengals going corner there. So basically it would be corner, or it would be potentially a wide receiver, or you trade back. But at that point, someone would have to be in love with Delane. Someone would have to be in love with maybe Jermod McCoy. Something up there.
I know the scenario. It happened when we did a mock draft on my show. It's Carnell Tate falling to 10. There's going to be some wide receiver needy teams, and he's, to me, still the top receiver because Tyson's injury history. Lemon probably being a slot guy. If Tate's there at 10, I think you could entice. The Rams would be looking to move up. The Buccaneers losing Mike Evans, pair of the Ohio State guys back up. And also at 16, the Jets. I think those 3 teams right there that you could move down, and you'd be moving down within 3 to 6 spots. Like, that's the scenario of a trade down.
Yeah.
And that's why all the guys are gone that the Bengals would want, is because a guy like Tate falls.
Dude, to me, everything's on the table. I mean, this has been the craziest draft season because I don't know. I could totally see, like you said, everybody being gone. And I can totally see the Bengals trading back because Scott, you've seen the Bengals for years. That they do like to trade back. They don't necessarily like to trade forward, but trade back is definitely in their wheelhouse. So I definitely think trading back is on the table there. What's your thoughts? You got any thoughts? I know you covered the Bearcats. We're talking Bengals here, but you got any thoughts on what we're talking about there with the trade back?
Well, if you know what you're doing and you trade back and you accumulate the right guys, it's a pretty wise move.
Right.
Sometimes,
but do the Bengals know what they're
doing? They do that? They do that?
Right. That's the problem. That's the problem. I mean, I had to cover them through the Dave Shula is the nicest guy in the world, but those years, that's what as a fan, I'm from here. I like it when the Bengals win. It's good for the city. It's fun to watch and all that. But I've always told people, come Monday, if they lose, it's just Monday. It's just another Monday. It's just Lucy has pulled the ball away from Charlie Brown a gazillion times, and I've seen it in every which way possible. I've seen playoff games pissed away when, AJ McCarron should have had a win.
Yeah.
Porter and Pac-Man are out there on the field. It's like how that was kind of close to the UCF basketball loss. It's just those freaky type games that happen to Cincinnati, and you feel like we're the only town that happens to. I know it happens to other people, but for heaven's sake, it's like we have been kicked in the gonads more than any town that I can think of.
Well, even the Super Bowl, right? Like. Logan Wilson retired, but that was still not a penalty hold.
Well, how about Jim Breach was about to win the MVP? And
Montana.
Then Montana sees John Candy and leads the guys down the field and hits Taylor, and Lewis Billups drops the ball right in the numbers. Again, like the old adage, that's why you play defensive back.
Well, Carson Palmer, that hit.
Yeah,
Timo von Oelhoffen.
Former Bengal.
That son of a bitch.
Yeah, evil. And then you mentioned the Kenyon Martin thing. Gee whiz! There's just so many. I've seen.
It just means we're due, Scott. We are due. So
hello, darkness, my old friend.
Yeah. Well, I've seen so many games where there's last-second basketball shots, and you go, "That's in."
Right.
Just turn around.
Huggins, remember the one West Virginia, I think it was, hit against Hugs.
Yeah, I'll give you a story on that one. Okay, so this is a Home Alone type thing. I'm at a friend's house, a big party, and DeJuan Baker hits the shot with 7 seconds to go, and the Bearcats go up against West Virginia. And the whole room was applauding and hugging, like it's New Year's Eve and stuff. Right. And I'm going, wait a minute, 7 seconds, wait a minute, it's an eternity, wait a minute. And then the kid's name was Jared West, and Reuben Patterson deflects the ball enough to where it banks in and goes in. Yeah. And I'm so mad, I grab my wife and the kids, and I'm driving home, and I've got 4 sons, and I pull in the driveway, and I had left one of them there. It was kind of like Kevin in Home Alone. Where's Travis? We left him there.
Oh, poor Travis.
Yeah. It just, so and so now I'm the beat guy, so I have to be objective and not be hurt so much. But then as a fan, and I did go to school there, and I was with people watching the game, and that one really sucked. And then you've had that happen to you. Miles Simon, I saw him at the Big 12 tournament. I don't know how far back you guys go. 7-up shootout, mid-90s, big game. I think it turned out to be Lute Olson's 500th win. But this guard named Miles Simon throws in like a 75-foot shot to beat UC. And so he was on color commentary at the Big 12 tournament in some of the early games. I went up and said hi and told him the story and all that. And he said that Huggins calls him bad words every time.
He does. He does. Yeah, just to let you know, my dad had season tickets to UC back in the Tony Yates years, but down at I still call it the Coliseum. But so I grew up a Bearcat fan. Now I am a University of Cincinnati dropout, but I did go there. So my entire family, I'm a huge Bearcat fan. So I know most of the games you're talking about. Unless you go to the 70s and 60s, I don't remember those. I've heard.
Yeah, but what about football? You'll be screaming OH all the time.
You're spoiled then.
Yeah, well, I root for, like you said, I root for Ohio State because you see. What in the 80s we didn't play in a conference, all right? we could walk. It wasn't a thing. So I am a UC. This, Dan. You're calling me out here.
I'm calling you out.
I'm a Bearcat fan, and then it's Ohio State.
Well, if George Murray and John Olinger had hung on to those balls down at
I was at that game. I was at that game. Yes.
Yeah. That UC had that game won.
Oh, I thought Olinger caught it. I thought Olinger caught it.
Well, how do we were talking about these receivers, the Cyrus Allen, the Jeff Caldwells, Joe Royer's production. So Sorsby leaving for Texas Tech, Scott. What are your thoughts on him as a player? Because I know, I have mixed thoughts on him for next year. I think he could be not good. He had a rough end of the season.
Well, here's the deal. Now, I love the guy because he answered the bell, answered every question, came out for every game. When I was down for basketball in Lubbock, I ran into him and then talked to him the day after. So, he got some pretty good coin. And we would tell any of our kids, it's like, you got to go take that deal. That's life-changing money. Now, is he worth it? I'm sorry. I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah. And because, I don't know, I'd be thinking, well, for $4 million or whatever he got, if maybe even $6 million, it's like I can get 2 quarterbacks for that.
Right.
And then here's, if you want to blame Satterfield or whoever, but your last 2 Novembers, you have no wins. And so that's also on Brendan Sorsby's resume that he has not won a game in November. And if he does at Texas Tech, maybe Cincinnati should send him like a big congratulatory card and say, nice job. Glad you finally got a November win. Now he's coming to Nippert, it's
he is.
October 20 something.
I don't think he's going to get a warm welcome.
You don't think? I don't know. He's a good kid. I'm happy
get that.
for him.
He's been talking a little shit on Twitter and stuff.
Yeah, he likes doing that though. He likes talking it up and kind of playing the heel wrestling wise and all. And he was at the game and he hugged Day Thomas, but he's definitely was cheering for Texas Tech. But heck, for $6 million, I'd cheer for
right.
New Jersey Institute of Technology. I'm your guy. Whatever you want me to do. My color's green. I'll wear the fright wig. I'll be there.
That oil money hits different.
Oh yeah. We don't have Jed Clampett here. They've got the guy there in Lubbock that played for the team and struck it big in oil. And not only did he buy football, heck, his wife liked softball, and he bought them $1 million pitcher. If you ever watch any women's softball, that girl.
I don't watch it, but I saw that.
That's crazy.
No.
We need that kind of booster here. That's what we need. But I mean, honestly, with the 10 million, is that the highest NIL we've had since the NIL has come into existence for the Bearcats, or is?
Well, I don't have a specific figure, but I was led to believe
that's
it
what
was
I've been told it is. Yeah,
between 8 and 10.
Yeah.
I was also told that BYU paid 10 for just 2 players.
Holy crap!
So we definitely know the one.
yeah.
AJ Devanza and probably Robert Wright was the other one, and they didn't last long.
Right.
But they've got some money in Utah and some fine dairy products to sell you.
Well, that's the thing too. I was saying before, you have all the money, but if you don't have the right fit, and that's kind of where I think the coaching, navigating the coaching system in NIL is, you can go get all the best players, but they don't fit your scheme. They don't fit into the players, or the players don't fit together. It's not going to work. So that's a big thing that I think Calhoun, get back to him, has to figure out in this NIL here.
Jeff, can I ask Scott a question?
Sure.
So, Scott, you've covered UC sports forever, right? Or Cincinnati area sports.
Yeah, they had leather helmets on. I personally knew Mick and Mac. You
probably knew about the Portsmouth Spartans then, and then they went to Detroit. I live in Portsmouth, Ohio. So.
Yeah.
But who's the biggest asshole that you've ever talked to?
At UC?
Right to the point.
It doesn't have to be UC. Could be when you cover pro sports and the Bengals and stuff like that.
I don't like the guys that are snarky in the press conferences. Now, I got along fine with Mick Cronin. He never did that to me. He kind of
he's bad now.
Yeah. You get cranky. I've seen Patino do that. I've seen other coaches do that. Obviously Hurley at Connecticut. But then Hurley's a huge Bengals fan, so you want to give him a pass for that. Gee whiz, I'm trying to think of.
There's so many.
I've certainly run into the type. One of the ones I've said this. So I lived in Florida before I came here. I'm from here, but lived in Florida for 5 years. So I was covering spring training baseball. Mike Schmidt was still playing, and I went to cover in Clearwater the Phillies, and I asked Mike Schmidt if I could have an interview. I'm a radio guy, and he goes, "Oh, I do all that in the morning." I said, "Well, I'm sorry, they sent me over. I just got here." And he goes, "Well, you should have known. It's like I do all that in the morning." It's like I didn't know, and so I'm just all right, Mike. And then he comes out of the shower and I figured it was already a no, and he breezes by me, and then as he's walking by, he just kind of gives me like a, "Come on," and he takes me back, and then he gives me like one word, so Mike, how you feeling this spring? Good. What's the outlook of the Phillies? Good. One word answers. So don't bother.
Right.
Yeah. What was the point?
I don't know. I mean, I didn't mean anything by it, and I'm sure someone like him gets bombarded. So yeah, I've been through that. I've been blown off by so many people. It almost doesn't faze you anymore. Someone was asking me a story today about I don't know how it was a Motor City Bowl that UC was in, I believe against Marshall, and Aretha Franklin was living, and she sang the anthem. So I was determined to get an interview with Aretha Franklin, and I'm trying to get up to Aretha Franklin, and she's got more handlers than the president around her. And I said, I just want to ask her something. And so she turns around, and she was wearing a red and black dress. I said, "Miss Franklin, you're wearing red and black. Is that for the Cincinnati Bearcats?" Joking. And She goes, "I'm wearing red and black because I want to wear red and black." And she's giving me the neck and everything. And
wow. Aretha Franklin done ripped your ass, man.
Oh yeah. And it was kind of like, "Who are you to ask me what about my dress?" And
that's pretty cool though.
And then I said, "Can I ask you something?" No, and she walks off.
Well, she wants that respect, Scott. She wants that respect.
RESPECT.
And it pissed me off, though. So my reply was, I said, "And thus ends our long-awaited interview with Aretha Franklin, who obviously is off to get another cheeseburger." Yeah. Yeah, you blow me off. Take that. Take that.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
All right.
Take that on your freeway of love.
I want to flip it, Scott. Who is the most genuine, nice couple people that come to mind?
Jared Calhoun was very nice the other day. That's up front.
That's
nice.
That's the newness.
I haven't asked him anything. I haven't asked him about blowing a game yet.
Right, you haven't asked any hard questions yet.
It'll come. I'm trying to think. Nice. I mean, there are nice ones. Shoot.
How's Hugs?
I always got along with him. He could get snippy if he didn't care for the question. He was fine with me the other day. And it's Mark D'Antonio. Although he did snap at me one time. That's another story. So they get blown out by West Virginia 35-0 on a Wednesday. Mm-hmm. And it was a made-for-TV game. And so I'm the sideline guy. I'm interviewing him after the game. And I said, well, it's nice to have these games on TV, but is it worth it if you get blown out like this? And he goes, that's a matter of opinion. Then he got mad and he walked off. And then the second he walked off, the ROTC guys blew the cannon off. And so that all got caught on the radio. So the next day on the Cunningham show, they had me asking him the question and him saying that's a matter of opinion. And then you hear this big cannon blast. And then Willie's going, oh, they shot Scott. One bad question, they shoot him. But D'Antonio is like the nicest Division I coach I've run into. A handful of years ago, I was up around Lansing. I like to look at football stadiums. I had the kids in the car, and I said, this is the one coach that might give me the time of day. And so I randomly stuck my head in the office and told him who I was. He comes out to see me. He had recruits in. He came out in the office to see me, and then he arranged a tour for us around their facilities and I wasn't really, I'm not that big of an imposer. I just wanted to look at the stadium, but I wanted to say hi to him. I hadn't seen him in X amount of years. Yeah. And I've seen him once or twice since, but yeah, very, very nice guy. That's cool. And so, he deserves all the awards he's gotten.
So you worked at 700 WW back in the heyday when you had Andy McWilliams and Andy Furman and Cosworth, and you said Cunningham there, and
there's a guy.
There's a guy.
That's a guy.
That's a guy. Yeah. One of my favorite guys, Gary Burbank, who I actually, when I was in high school, he let me come and hang out at the radio station there with him up there in up in the old station up there. I
might have seen it in Mount Adams. That's
yes.
Yeah, we were in Mount Adams and then briefly in Kenwood for me. So from 90 to 2009, about 19 years. So I knew all those guys.
What's one of the craziest story that you can tell throughout that with those guys? Because Cunningham's nuts, Furman's nuts. I mean, like I said, Burbank is freaking hilarious. God rest his soul. He was
you probably saw from Gary being in the room with him. He's from Memphis, so when he's talking to you, he's going, "Hey, dude, it's real nice of you to be up here." And then it's like, then he comes on, this is Gary Burbank, and coming up is Gilbert Gnarly, and great pipes.
Right.
But I got to write some stuff for him that they used. And he would pay you if you wrote a bit and they used it. So I had some checks from that, and that made some of the tapes and stuff that he did. And I liked barbecue, that his restaurant there.
Oh, yes. It was good. Burbank's
Barbecue. Every time I think of Gary, you think of all the characters, the Deuteronomy Skaggs, what was it?
Earl Pitts America, Gilbert Gnarly, all those guys.
Yeah. Don't make me holler. Don't make me shout. Hold them Pull that into something inside out. Yeah.
Hey, and Pork Chop worked there.
Yeah, buddy, Pork Chop worked there.
Remember that guy? Then the best one is the Kentucky Jelly, the Gilbert Gnarly, Gnarley, and then he calls the makers of KY Jelly, and he's telling him, he's going, well, I know I kind of like your jelly, but yeah, it doesn't have much taste to it. And then the lady's trying to explain to Gilbert that's like, well, sir, it's not meant to be eaten. So, well, I made a sandwich. But I really like your Kentucky jelly. So
KY jelly, Kentucky
that's
jelly.
a bad gnarly on my part. But classical bits. Just
exactly.
It was really, really fun to work there for a while. I mean,
I had a blast hanging out there in high school. I loved going there. I had to sneak in because the girls at the front wouldn't let me back there if they caught me. So I kind of would sneak in the elevator. I kind of sneak in and go back the hallway back by the offices and walk back around to the studio. And Gary would be like, hey, there you are. And I go in there and hang out. Did you get to do the Sports of Consequences with them?
Yeah, I might have been in there when you were there. It's hard to say. I mean, I worked mainly in the morning. I produced Kritz's show for 2 years. So that was more nights and worked a ton of other hours. And then I did the morning sports from like 92 to 09. So if I was around late in the afternoon, that was a long day, but it was fun. It was, that's what made it fun. It was just a great place to work. You actually got bonuses. You got Kroger hams at Christmas. If the ratings were good, you might win a trip. And then the suits got involved in radio and screwed it all up.
Yeah, exactly. I haven't, like I said, I have no idea what it's like now. I haven't been in a radio station. So the reason I have the name Strawberry Ice is I tried to get into radio, and I had an internship at 100.9 The Wiz back in 94. Mm-hmm. And Vanilla Ice was big back then, and it was an urban radio station. So I did a sports report there in the morning for them. Some white guy with a red face, so they called me Strawberry Ice. So
there you go.
That's how I got the silly name. But Gary Burbank he would make fun of me whenever I'd see him. I am the only one to ever get blown up in studio. he I don't remember. I can't even remember what it was. He said something to me, and I'm like, "What?" And boom, there's his head. That's all over the studio. So
he blew a lot of people up.
He did.
And then they'd play that sound bite that sounds like a big explosion.
Exactly. Dale, do you have any idea what the hell we're talking about?
No, I don't. But it's enjoyable, and I appreciate you having me on.
It's all derailed.
Jeff, I'm gonna hop off here, brother.
All right, brother.
Thanks
I'll see you, man. Thanks, Dale. Appreciate you, dude. Later. All right, Scott. Well, we've been on for, I said an hour. We've been on for an hour and 13 minutes. I appreciate you coming on, man. So real quick, couple Bearcat notes here before I let you go. How important is this football season for Coach Sat? There's lots of heat on him. There are lots of Bearcat fans, including myself, that kind of think this might be the last year and we might need to move on from him. What do you think he has to do to keep his job this year?
Well, it's an extremely tough league. I think at the bare minimum, you got to get to another bowl game. And it would be nice if you could get to a bowl game and have the players to play.
Yes, that would help.
Yeah. And particularly when you're playing a service academy and they don't have opt-outs. You don't opt out of the Navy. Your name is mud if you opt out of the Navy. Yep. So, and it kind of bothered me in a way that at the pro day, that some of the guys that opted out and didn't play, they're back at the facility in the pro day. It's like, oh, now they found the address again. And now they're back.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So I think, if you sign a deal, I don't know how the deals work, but you should finish the season. But here's the deal. As long as coaches are allowed to up and leave at any point in time, they're going to allow the players to do whatever. The courts are going to rule in favor of the players and have. Mm-hmm. So that's the issue. So right now, I don't have a good gauge on all their talent. I mean, I think staff-wise, they're pretty solid. I think personnel-wise with Zach Grant and his crew, that's pretty solid because they re-signed him. Nico Palizzetti, the director of football performance, is your typical crazy man, strength and conditioning guy. They re-signed him. So they're trying to keep the organization. And I think there's some good parts to the organization, but you're going to need to see wins. and you're really going to need to see wins late in the season.
Yes.
Like November wins,
Yes, that'd
that
be nice.
doesn't mean you don't want to go for September, but you want to win some in November too.
Right.
Last year it was a tough part of the schedule, but back to Brendan Sorsby. Okay, didn't throw for a ton of yards against Utah. Threw a pick 6 on the first play against Arizona.
Yep.
So
that's the game that ticked me off, was the Arizona game.
You needed the Arizona win.
Yeah, I understood that going out to Utah and that'd be a hard game for them to win. I get it, but you can't come back home to Arizona and basically get your doors kicked in. I mean, you gotta win that game. That's the one that would really ticked me off last year.
Well, and you had the time in your favor and everything. It was a day game, so they were playing morning time, their clock, but their quarterback Noah Fafita was really good that day, and Brendan had an off day, and they didn't win. They needed that one. They needed the TCU. They needed a lot of them.
Yeah.
So you need to win in November. You haven't done that in the last 2 seasons. That's something I would say for sure. And I think you need another 7-8 wins in that category. I don't know enough about JC French yet. Likable guy. I like some of the running backs, some of the receivers I've seen, but we didn't know last year's receivers, so now we get to know these guys. You got a new core of running backs.
They have the same offensive line though, which is good. That they're all coming.
Yeah,
back
you returned a good bit of the line. You were no more 3-3-5 defense. So that
God
maybe helps things. So yeah, I'll have to report back to you on how they're going to do, because the first season I had them at 6-6, and they start that year 2-0.
Yeah, and then the Miami game.
Yeah, and then it's like, that's such a downer to lose that at home.
Yeah. Especially when they beat Pitt. Pitt was pretty good that year. They turned around.
Yeah,
Miami,
2-0 after beating Pitt, you're thinking, well, maybe you're on to something.
I have something here. Yeah, then it's like, what the hell?
Then the next year you lose to Pitt in that god awful situation when you had that game.
Yep.
What was it? 28-6, 27-6 in the third quarter.
Yeah, it wasn't even close.
Yeah. So same with Wes. I think you need to start finishing games.
Yeah, finishing games, finishing seasons. By the way, Crypt Keeper is a fan of yours here. He says, Mr. Scott Springer is outstanding, Jeffro. Where have you been hiding this guy? Yeah. He's been hiding in the Bearcat lore.
I've been lurking about.
There you go. So how cool is it that they are going to have the UC Miami series continue? And I like it. They're going to play it at TQL Stadium and not in Paycor, because that's just too big of a stadium. I mean, I'd be fine with it. I had it at Nippert. I love Nippert, but TQL Stadium, I think that's gonna be pretty awesome watching that game in there.
Well, it had to be a neutral, and I think the problem with Paycor, and this should surprise you not at all, is you need a certain amount of fans there to even break even, because everything's going to be one-sided toward the Bengals. Mm-hmm. When they were playing down there while Nippert was being renovated, I think the figure I heard was you needed to have about 43,000 or whatever for UC to even break even. Now that's 3,000 more that fits in the NIP total.
Right.
So, and then Miami Yeager Stadium, I think seats 21-ish, somewhere in there. Yeah. So playing it at TQL, I think maybe they can get 24. And I know they're trying to expand it. I don't know if that expansion is going to be done by the fall. Mm-hmm. Turf wise, I don't know what they're doing there, because they have natural grass. If they're going to tear that up, or it's hard to say. But
right.
It's something different, and it'll be a more intimate atmosphere. And whichever team wins will say that's the greatest idea ever, and whatever team loses, saying
it's terrible.
Yeah, we should never ever play in a soccer stadium again. Yeah, that's it.
Whose dumb idea was this?
Yeah, turn off the lights. We're done.
Exactly. Well, Scott, man, I appreciate you. I'm glad I got to run into you at the press conference, and hopefully the Bearcats let me come to more stuff like that. I mean, which anybody, I'm not special. Anybody could have went to it, but hopefully I can see you around. And if there's anything you want to plug before I let you go, I know you're waiting for the inquiry. Anything else you got going on you want to plug before I let you go?
Just Cincinnati Inquirer, Cincinnati.com. The Twitter or X is S Springer Sports.
It's not Springer Sports. You gotta make sure because I typed in the wrong one when I tagged you for the show the first time.
Yeah, it's 2 S. So S Springer Sports. And same with Instagram. And then, yeah, it's Cincinnati.com. And sometimes I put stuff on Reddit because the folks said, hey, throw some stuff on Reddit. We can get the Reddit reaction. And some of the Reddit reactions are kind of out there,
a little bit.
But
Yeah.
I'll throw it out there, and and anything that comes up as a subscription, please know that I have nothing to do with that. I write it, send it in, and they do that. So you might have to pay $1, just think of how many, beers you're going to have over the weekend, and, squeeze in $1 for old Scott.
So have people complain to you about your subscription?
Sometimes I have people, I can't read any of your stuff because it's subscription only, and it's
you need to change that, Scott.
Yeah. I don't, things change. We used to drink water for free too.
we used to have this thing called newspapers. You can just get it for
yeah. I still get one. I get a newspaper and I look at it because to me, what I, when I covered some of the high school stuff, I would tell parents, it's like, if you get a newspaper, you can clip it out and have clippings, but you can't clip anything off your laptop. You can print it out. Doesn't look as cool on your refrigerator.
Right. So, yeah, you should see I got newspaper clippings of the World Series and Pete Rose's hit and all kinds of stuff. You can't get that stuff anymore. I don't know.
Oh, I keep it around. I don't know why I do. I have so much stuff, but my kids can look at it someday and say, "Boy, Dad was really a pack rat." Let's get a dumpster.
My son walked down here the other day. He goes, "You can never move." I said, "Oh, I'm leaving all this for you. You're gonna have to deal with this. This is all yours." He's like, "Oh, thanks." It's like, you're welcome.
Well, I got a house full of it. Someday, it doesn't mean as much now as it used to, but it's fun to bring people in and say, okay, here's this, here's that.
Yeah, I still like doing that. Scott, I appreciate it, man. This has been a lot of fun. And I'm definitely going to, I got your number now, so I'm going to definitely get you back on more often here.
Okay. Sounds good. I'll try to not be driving next time.
Hey, don't. It's a podcast. As long as you're not driving, I'm fine. You're riding in the car. That's cool.
I figured you had Neil to carry me until I got back on.
Well, the funny thing is, I didn't think Dale and Anthony were going to come on. So that's when I texted you. I was like, hey, they just canceled on me. Can you jump on? And then I had Neil on for like 10 minutes. So, and then right before the show starts, they're both like, hey, we can come on. I'm like, okay. So that's why we had so many guests. So, but I thanks for rolling with it. It worked out good. It was fun.
All right. Sure thing.
Thanks, Scott. See ya. All right, guys. As always, I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. Scott Springer is awesome. Make sure you guys go check him out. You can go read his stuff on Cincinnati.com, Cincinnati Inquirer. And you can subscribe to it too. Shout out to our sponsors, T Properties, quality housing for quality people. Check out their website at www.tpropertiesllc.com for all your rental property management needs and your rental needs. And Party Lawn and Landscaping for all your lawn and landscaping needs. I don't know, you need your grass cut, you need a paver patio, you need anything. I mean, anything. Maybe you're a do-it-yourselfer. Maybe you want to buy some mulch, some gravel. Think Party Lawn and Landscaping. And of course, Meyer Window Doors and more. I got them in my house. I highly recommend you get them in yours. Meyer Window Doors and more. And of course, my favorite brewery, Cincinnati Lager House. Go on down there to the banks, get you some delicious Lager House beer, some delicious Lager House food, and of course, tell all my sponsors you heard about them from Sports with Strawberry Ice. As always, shout out to all my sponsors, Party Lawn and Landscaping, T Properties, Lager House Cincinnati, and Meyer Windows, Doors, and more. Make sure you guys go check them out. When you do, tell them you heard about them from Sports with Strawberry Ice. As always, thanks for watching. I've been live streaming on YouTube, Facebook, X, Twitch, Instagram. You can follow me on all those, along with Threads and TikTok. Check out my Substack. I write some stuff on there from time to time. All this is under Sports with Strawberry Ice. I will be pulling a sound off later on tonight. Put it on the podcast. Make sure you check it out. It's on BeanPod, Apple iTunes, Spotify, Google, Stitcher Play. Pretty much wherever you get your podcast. Do me a favor. Let's do it. Rate it, like it, review it. Leave a 5-star review and a comment so more Cincinnati fans can find my podcast. That just helps the algorithm out, just like hitting the likes and the views and everything here on YouTube. Make sure you guys share the show out. Tonight, we got college basketball, which I love. Like I said, hopefully next year, my Bearcats can actually make this damn tournament. I know they go far. Very interesting matchup tonight. I'm very intrigued. Starting here in about 5 minutes. I think 7 o'clock. You got St. John's, and Rick Pitino going against Michigan State. Isn't that right? Going against State, or is it UConn? I think it's Michigan State. I can't remember now. I had it in my head now, and I forgot. But yeah, it's gonna be lots of good games tonight. Make sure you watch those. I'm kind of rooting for St. John's. See the old head Rick Pitino get himself a win tonight, and it'd be kind of cool if he. I mean, St. John's hasn't been to the Final Four since '85. I think it is. I don't know, Chris Mullen, Mark Jackson. Yeah, it'd be kind of cool to watch. Anyway. But as always, remember one thing and one thing only. As always, that is Who Dey for life. Go Bearcats. Go Reds. The Reds are going to bounce back. Win on Saturday. I believe it. Everybody throw it up. That's just sports, baby. See ya!
Another great show. You guys still here? The show's over. You can come back tomorrow. I'm out of here. See ya.